went over this last year and made a video on it. So I just thought I'd touch base with it again this year. The canning is super easy, and it's a great way to preserve your meat. 2 years, easy. As long as you do it right and you have a good seal, your meat's going to stay good, edible, and very delicious. Alright, the dog knocked the phone over, so I had to reset. So I really wanted just to kind of touch over the high points of it this year. My other video really has some details there, but I really wanted to just kind of put it out there and bring it forth to people and let them understand that this is easy. This is nothing that it looks like. People get overwhelmed with a lot of the details, and it's you want to pay attention to details, just like I'm looking at the seam on this glass. I thought it was a crack. But this is, it's very easy to do. It's very quick to do. A little bit of preparation, but while you're cutting your deer up and everything like that, it's easy to cut your meat right then and there for your canning purposes. A couple onions, a couple pieces of garlic, some seasonings I use, some salt, and it comes out super tender. Dump it on some noodles, dump it on some rice, put it in the pan, put some barbecue sauce on it, however you want to prepare it. It's already cooked. You can eat it cold right out of the jar. So if you want to make pint jars like this, I thought about doing some of that this year. I don't know if I will or not. You can make a pint jar and put it in a lunchbox for work. Toss it in the microwave, whatever. It's ready to go. You want to go camping? Here you go. You want a quick overnight trip? Grab a couple pints or a quart of it. It's already pre-cooked. You don't have to worry about building a fire if you get somewhere. There's so many advantages to doing it this way. You get good, clean, flavorful, healthy, fat-free meat. Here's my two 22-quart pressure cookers. Watch your yard sales. This is a Miromatic. This is a Matrice. I'm not quite sure how they pronounce it. They both work the same. Pot, gasket, lid, locks on. Little round weight goes on top for your settings. I use the 15-pound weight. I'm at 812 feet of sea level, and the directions say 12 pounds. Well, I only have 5, 10, or 15, so I use the 12-pound or the 15-pound mark. I put 4 quarts of water in here. There's only about 1.5 inches, 2 inches of water in the bottom of the dog's quiet. Here's some onions, red onions, because I had it left over. I didn't want it to go bad. Sweet yellow onions. 7 cloves of garlic, 1 for each jar. Seasoning is going to go a long ways inside this system. Your seasonings, I bought this one this year. We'll try it. Brown sugar and bourbon. I haven't used that one yet either. This Montreal steak is pretty well out. I liked it. It was good. Get some good extra virgin organic olive oil. Some good Bragg's organic apple cider vinegar. A little bit in each jar. This is a head space gauge. All it does is tell you from the head to the top of the product how far down it is. With venison and chicken, you want 1 inch. This is just for picking up the lids out of the pot so you don't burn your fingers. This is a funnel. You stick it in a jar, dump your meat and seasonings and all stuff and onions down in there, and it won't get on the edge of the jar and contaminate the seal. This you can use for picking up the warm jars, setting them down. Your lids, remember they're one-time use lids, so make sure you boil them. It does a couple things. It sterilizes them, and it also sets that gasket to work. Here's my jars. I put them in there. I'm preheating them. It's not really necessary, but I do it. It also heats this gasket up, gets the pot up to 10. Right now this lid's still ice cold, so it gets everything warmer faster. Here's the meat. Still has ice crystals in it. You know, little pieces, bigger pieces. This stuff will shred really easily, so you can leave it big if you want and take it out in one piece and cook it that way. Leave them small. When you take it out, shred it up like shredded beef. The leaner, the better. This is what you work for. Well, the jars have been in the pressure cooker for a little while. Again, it's not necessary to pre-warm them. I choose to do that. I guess I feel like maybe they're a little more sterile. This is hard water stain, is what that is. Oops. You know, inspect your jars, make sure there's no cracks. The rims are nice and clean. That way, nothing will affect the sealing of it. I set them down on a towel. I don't know, old habits, I guess. So, I don't know if there's any better way of putting the meat in versus putting the vegetables in. So I'm going to try to do just a mixture. I've done top, I've done a layer of meat and a layer of vegetables. It's also an experiment this year to see how much meat I can put in these jars. I had roughly 10 pounds of meat here, so you know, I want to make sure I'm kind of curious of how many quarts that is. Is it, you know, it's 10 pounds, is there a pound and a quart, or what? Or is, you know, I'm going to have more than enough for, you know, do I put a pound in a quart, or is a quart hold a pound and a half? Right now it looks like I'm going to have some meat left over. And remember, you want to leave room in here for the stuff, the vegetables. Now, I like onions every time I cook venison anyways. So to me, it's only natural to put onions in. Can't imagine cooking a venison steak without onions. I just can't. I guess I've been forced to a time or two, but I just don't. Oh, I like onions with my venison. They seem to add a nice flavor to it. The garlic, again, you know, you put some butter on a pan and cook your garlic and onions and venison steak with some good old-fashioned butter, and there's a lot of good in that. So I put garlic in with my canning. And just one clove. You got to remember that the seasoning is going to go a long ways, just because of how this thing is cooking. It's going to end up in a vacuum. I'm going to put a couple carrots in. couple of these jars. I got some meat left over. If you can see it in the viewfinder there or not, but so boy, there's a ready-to-go stew almost, you know. Now you could use a measuring spoon. I don't know, roughly a tablespoonful. Same thing with the vinegar, just a splash, half a tablespoon, a couple teaspoons. A little bit of vinegar goes a long way, especially when you're using apple cider vinegar. So you really want to be careful with that. Seasonings, I told you before I was really happy with the Montreal steak. So there's roughly a tablespoonful of seasonings there. I probably should mark on the lid what I put in each one, but I didn't. Part of the surprise, I guess. So, at this stage, a lot of directions online say venison you don't need to put water in it. Well, I found that I put an inch or so of water in the bottom of the jar, and then the meat gets totally covered up. If you've ever seen meat that's been canned, that's not covered up, it just doesn't look good. There's a lot of juices in this meat. There's a lot of juices in the vegetables. So it's going to be a lot of juices in there. You're going to be amazed at how much will cook out of this. I just want to make sure that I'm covered. So you can see that might be a little bit more. A little on that. And I'm the type of guy, when I cook pasta, I don't cook a timer. I just cook it till it tastes good. So if you're looking for precise measurements, I don't know, look at my video last year. So you can see there's that much water in there. And this white stuff, you see it wipes off. It's just a hard water stain. That's all it is. It's the lime. Jar is clean, sanitized. Now you want to take a clean paper towel, a clean towel, whatever, and wipe off the edge. Make sure that there's no salt, no seasonings on the lip. And the lip is nice and clean, because that's where she's going to seal. So, you know, any imperfections on there, you really want to make sure you get them. Now there's salt in the seasonings, so be careful. So this is a half a tablespoon, or a teaspoon. So not even half. And this is what they call pickling salt. It's non-iodized salt. There's no iodine in it. It's pure salt. You see me use the measuring spoon for the salt just because there's already salt in these seasonings, so I don't want to over salt it. So This is, again, I didn't use the funnel. 1 grain of salt on this lip, and these jars won't seal. So make sure these jars are clean. Or you take your little wand, pick up the lid, set it on there. Now for the voodoo, put this on. You don't want it tight. Tighten, you know, I snug them down and I back them up. Snug them down, back them up. Very, you don't want this thing on tight. The air's got to escape, but not come back in. So bring it down, and then I back it up. Bring it down, back it up. You know, there's no measurement you can use on this. This is something you're going to have to learn from experience on doing it. You know, and remember, if one doesn't seal, so what? You eat it. As long as the jar don't break. And that's why you don't want them tight, because you want the pressure to come out of the jar. You don't want it to explode. You cinch that down tight, you're going to blow that jar up. So, I don't know, snug it down, bring it back a quarter of a turn, maybe. Can you see that? Well, the jars are cooled off. I don't need bigger air. There you go. See them stacked in there? There's 7 cans in there, 7 quarts. Now I'm going to take this gasket. It's been sitting there getting warm. I'm going to put that inside here. Should have bought a new gasket this year, but I didn't. You see this lip? When the steam hits that, it'll expand and seal. Got it right up on high. All right. Now we get that down. Okay. Now is the trick to get it to work. To get that seal to seal all the way around. And then you put your weight on for 15 pounds and let it cook for 90 minutes. Well, 10 pounds of venison gave me 7 quarts and 4 pints. So I've never canned pints before. This is going to be a first. The process is the same when I read up on it. It's you know, 15 pounds at it says 75 to 90 minutes. So I pack these things kind of tight. Again, you know, make this seal good. I got a small canner from a yard sale one day. So I have never used it for canning. So today is going to be the first attempt at that. Process is lids. I did point this out earlier. That there's this little groove right here, and that pushes down on this to that seal. So that's makes it nice and stable all the way around. Now, because these are pints, and I've got them packed pretty good, I'm not going to put any juice in them. I was telling you about this headspace tool. I've got about 3/4 inch of head space here, about an inch there, about the same on the other ones. Because I preheated that seal in this lid. You hear that jiggle? It means there's 15 pounds of pressure in there, and it's going to jiggle that. Where the trick comes in for me is I want it for 90 minutes to jiggle for 90 minutes. Just a couple times a minute, just like that. So I want it jiggling pretty good before I start backing the heat off. And right now it's jiggling pretty good. So we're going to start backing the heat off slowly. It'll end up being on the low side of medium. Well, that was the quarts, or the pints in there, so let's just see how it works, I guess. Now I'm just waiting for everything to start jiggling properly, and then I can set my timers. As you can see, it's not a big process. A little bit of preparation work and it goes quick. Not a lot of cleanup either. It's not a bad thing to do, and it's really enjoyable. It provides an awesome meal. Man, I can't believe how good a meal it does provide. It's just been a really awesome thing for us. So, if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them. I'm going to show you me taking them out of the pots. They're going to cook for 90 minutes, and then it's going to take a couple hours for them to go down the temp before I can even take the lids off of these pressure cookers. So, I have a kitchen in my basement that I've built. Nothing fancy. A workbench, different other workbench, some stainless steel tops I've picked up here and there. Watch it on Craigslist, yard sales. Refrigerator that was given to me for free, but I've seen refrigerators like it for less than $50 on Craigslist. Old electric oven, only gets used down here. So I have a window open over there with a fan blowing out, kind of exhaust some of the fumes. You have the ability to do something like this in your garage or a corner of your basement. It makes things a lot easier to have a setup dedicated to cutting deer, chicken, doing your grinding, your cooking, things like that. It's easier cleaning, easier setup. You don't have to take over your kitchen. But I've done it for years in the kitchen. Sometimes you just have to do them things until you can have the ability to do it the way I do it. So for now, questions, comments, please pass them on. Really interested in hearing what you do and how your experiences are, or if this video helped you at all. So, off for now. Okay, we got 3.5 minutes left on the timer. You can hear and see them jiggle. So they're all doing really good. And all I'm going to do when the timer shuts off is literally turn the heat off and just let them set for the next hour and a half or so, maybe 2 hours. It's been an hour and a half or 2 hours since I've turned the heat off. They're still quite warm. But I don't want them, you want to let them reduce pressure slowly, because otherwise the jars will blow. So to check that, you know, I just kind of jiggle this and nothing comes out. So I kind of lift up on it and nothing comes out. So I know there's no pressure in this tank. Same like this, and opens up. Looks like I blew a jar. So there you go. Just gonna set it over here and let it seal on its own. See it still bubbling? Weird, huh? So this jar, maybe not. Oh, that jar didn't break. It's good. See how the meat's exposed at the top? I mean, it's still good. It's not going to hurt anything. Which is what I was saying. It doesn't look appealing. Okay, so that's our pints. Are good. So let's take this quartz out. Same deal. I mean, it's not hard. Turn it, unlock it. But you want to make sure all the pressure's out. Make sure you got a good grip on it. See, look at that, just that 2 inches of water, or 1.5 inches of water I put in there, this whole thing's full. They cooked right down. This kind of tells me I could have put more meat in them. Maybe I should have put more meat in them, I don't know. I try to do things in servings for 2 people. That's what I try to make them for. So here they are. If you can see, this one, it's not popped in yet. It's still popped up. If you look at this one, you can see it's dished down. So, yep, so that one's even dished down. This one's still up. This one's down. So you don't want to touch them right now. You just want to leave them alone. I'm going to cover them up with a towel so they'll cool down slowly. And then all these lids will be popped in. If you were to sit here long enough, you'd hear them go tink, tink. Well, that's the 2018 canning. So any questions or comments, please let me know. I accidentally deleted my chicken canning video, so I'm adding this to my venison canning video. To can chicken, it is exactly the same. 90 minutes at 12 pounds. With the sea level that I live at, I use the 15-pound weight. So I add a little bit of water. Actually, I use organic chicken broth. And the chicken comes out beautifully. Very tender, comes apart with a fork, so you can use it for shredded chicken, for dishes and such as that. So here's some of my canned chicken. Please like, subscribe, comment. Okay, if you look at these 4 cans here, 4 jars here, you notice there's no dimple. This one you can see the dimple on it, and this one you can really see the hump. You know, it's popped up. Look at this one right here. That dimple is down. And if you just look at it, it looks sealed just like those. It's really good. But a trick I learned is I just take a fingernail and I click it. Nice metallic ring. Come to this one. Dull. Not a very sharp tone at all. So that tells me that was sealed That is a false seal. Oh, look, it just popped up. So if you was just to look at it, you'd say, oh, it's sealed. Take your ring off and you put it on the shelf. You come back and your food's going to be all moldy and junk. But because I caught it, I'm just going to go ahead and eat it. So here they go. They don't look appealing. I'm going to tell you that right now. It really does not look appealing at all. But they taste awesome and they're quick, easy meal prep. Dice them up, put them with some rice and some sauce. Shred them up, barbecue chicken, salads, whatever you want. They're really good. Okay, well, any questions or comments, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Plenty of videos coming. Thank you.